How is everyone?
Good.
Yeah? You look like a cheerful bunch. And that's what we need here this morning, right? So, Swanson, thank you for a great introduction there. She set the thing up. This is about how challenger brands make impact. That's what this is, right? Let's start. I'm going to sit down, but when I start, I'm so up there, like energetic and so forth, I can't really sit. So let's start with you. Paulie, introduce yourself.
How you doing? I'm the CMO of AG1, formerly Athletic Greens. All right, there we go. Some daily starters, start your day healthy. Prior to that, I was CMO at Yeti. There's some Yeti folks in the back. Hi, love you. Woo! And prior to that, I was at another, I'd call challenger brand, Uber. So
there you go. All right.
We challenged everyone. Ourselves mainly. Oh, there you go. Thank you.
Hi, good morning. I'm Kathryn McKeon from Vital Farms, where we are selling pasture-raised eggs and butter, taking care of the animals and the people and the planet, and turning out what Paulie at least agrees is a great product.
Yes. Can't start your day without it.
They're good.
Very glad to be here.
Excellent.
Hello, my name is Karen Riley-Grant. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer at Vuori. Thank you for the humans in here who have made it very clear that they're big Vuori fans. I did not personally make your product, but I know who did, and they are amazing. I've been in apparel my entire career, long history of global legacy brands, and this is my first journey at, I still call it a startup in its 10th year, but incredible momentum and really excited to be here and talk about the journey, and thanks for having me.
Excellent. Go ahead.
Awesome. Good morning. I'm Andy Judd. I'm the CMO at Poppi, where we are revolutionizing soda for the next generation of soda drinkers. When I saw this panel, I was like, I think I emailed them. I was like, I'm eating my Vital Farms eggs, washing it down with AG1 while I'm wearing my core shorts from Vuori. So this is an incredible. Thank you, guys.
This is fantastic. It's fantastic. This is Seraj Bharwani. I'm the Chief Strategy Officer at Illumin. There's no better way to introduce here than to talk about what do challenger brands really do. Well, they break the rules. They break out from what is status quo in the establishment and the existing market, and they figure out their path forward and literally the acceleration of what growth is all about, right? Which is what marketing is all about. Illumin did something similar in a very different way. For the longest of ages, there has been a clear separation in media between what was open web and what was walled gardens. You all know that, right? Those are silos that have lived forever, and we essentially bridge the gaps and connectivity across for that. Okay, today's conversation is not about Illumin. It's about the most fascinating brands that we have over here that consumers rave about. Really, I'm talking about cult-like behavior here that we are talking about, right? That's very, very hard to do. Extremely difficult to do. But I want to set your expectations because I have known this audience forever. I've been coming here for 15 years now. And there is only one question they all have. The fact that you set the new rules for success and you did it so elegantly and gracefully, how the hell did you do that? And that's really the fundamental question. I can ask you this question in 10 different ways, but the core intent is the same thing. How did you, right? So, Karen, we're going to start with you, okay?
Okay.
So, I'm so glad I learned how to pronounce Vuori.
Everyone repeat after me, Vuori. There you go. Finnish for mountain. Fun fact.
There you go. We are accomplishing something here.
Brand awareness is our number one objective.
I know. So, clothing and apparel is going in and out of fashion in so many different ways. We all know that, right? And you've been able to, with the Vuori brand, create and cultivate this cult-like audience, right? That really uses language like performance, tech, flex, fit, comfort. I can keep going on and on, right? The sounds of a very discerning audience who actually understands the distinction between something that's fundamentally good, that's right for them, right? exactly what did you find that was missing in the athleisure market, which is what it is called, and how did you fill that void?
So again, to clarify, I did not 10 years ago have this idea. Our founder, Joe Kudla, and if you haven't listened to any of his work or podcasts, take a minute and listen to it. He's a fascinating human. But 10 years ago found a void. I mean, I think we all the companies that we work at are part of, have found a void and a white space in the market that wasn't being met. Andy mentioned the core short. 10 years ago, Joe was recovering from an injury and was doing a lot of yoga and found that there was nothing for men in the athleisure space, in the performance apparel space. It was big, blingy logos and sports product for men, and then a lot of Lululemon leggings for her. And there was nothing for him that kind of threaded the needle of high performance wear that was subtle and effortless, and that you could wear from the gym to coffee or wherever you wanted to go in the world. So he kind of found this real sweet spot that existed. And you can find the void and have a product, but the obsession with product, and as I said, I've worked in apparel for almost 30 years. He's still the fit model. True fun fact. He's obsessed with product, and our design team is the most amazing, innovative group of humans I've ever had the privilege to work with. And so the obsession with the feel of the fabric, the fit of the silhouette, the ability to wear from here to here to here, to really understand kind of what versatility means today. But make no mistake, there's so much loaded into the product that I joke, this is all Vuori. I could do a hit class in this dress. I'm not going to do it, but it's going to hold up just like my other product with the same fabric. So their approach to building product is like nothing I've ever seen before. So I think it was finding the void, meeting them with a product, and it just hit.
Yeah, so this is very interesting, right? That's the right way somebody would begin to understand what's going on in the market, really understand. You used the term, and we were talking about earlier, you have to be a psychologist to really get into the minds of the consumer, to really understand, is it about benefit? Is it about the way they feel? Is it the way they think? All of those things get embedded into the way you try to understand. And that's hard to do in general because there's so much noise in the marketplace, right? Really? We're going to come to the next stage of this discussion where we're going to talk about, is it the message after that, the way you educate the consumer? Is it the channel and the medium where you go? But we're going to come back to that, so hang tight. Let's go to you, Kathryn. So, eggs. That's about as close to a commodity as it gets. And yet, you have convinced many of us that when eggs come packaged beautifully in those Vital Farms cartons, that they just all of a sudden become so precious. What's the logic? How do you upscale a commodity?
Yeah, guys, it's been pretty quiet in eggs lately. I'm so glad to have something to do today. We're having a good time still, and I would be remiss not to say that because of the way that we farm, we actually haven't had a case of AI this season, and we're coming up on a year of not a single case of AI on our farm. But that's not the question you asked me, Seraj. Yeah. So here's the deal. We kind of have a 1-2 punch. The first is we actually didn't start with white space mentality, and we don't operate that way today. We started with our founder, Matt O'Hare, right here in Austin, Texas, truly believing there was a better way for Americans to get eggs and looking to Europe, who was doing it a better way. And he did it the right way. People said, well, that's nice, but you won't scale it. And we have. And we're the number 2 egg brand today and selling butter as well. But it started with a real intention to do it right and to take care of the birds. And it turns out when you do that, you get an excellent product. So we didn't reverse engineer how do we get the best egg. We did it the right way and we got the right product. Now, how do we get, the second punch is get credit for it, right? You can do a lot of great stuff and not get credit for it. And that's the work of the marketing team. So
I have a related question as you're going there, right?
Yeah.
The marketing question.
Yeah.
you said you found the right product. Now it's about getting the message out there and convincing people. I just have one curiosity here. Can you tell the difference in the taste of the egg from what comes from Vital Farms versus other places?
I can, yes. More importantly, we hear from consumers that they can. I got it. Thanks. I didn't know what to do with this. So, yeah, they look different. They taste different. You talked about the brand affinity. We get what is nothing short of full-out love letters from our consumers.
Nice, very nice. Yeah.
Like, I would be personally flattered to receive them, and they're about our eggs. And so a bunch of people on the marketing team are here. Thank you for being here. And so I'm really talking about their work today. But what do we do to get credit? How do you differentiate? How do you make it? Well, the product is better. And our formula is don't actually talk and market on the product is better. Talk about the things that we do that get you there and let the consumer try it. And then they have this, okay, I heard you say you take care of the birds. I'm connecting that to this incredible product I'm in. And that's the win, and that's the formula we've been using. Now, we got a great distinctive package, that black package.
Of course.
Great way to find it. But it comes back to we actually do it. We didn't reverse engineer purpose. We didn't sit in a room and come up with how we wanted to market. We actually do it. And then we put it out there and talk about it. And so the marketing is to tell the story of what's happening on our farms. And I got to tell you, that's a pretty fun job.
So this is very interesting. There's one other question that I have, but I want to make sure I get through the other panelists. But I'll give you a hint on what it is that is on my mind right now.
Okay,
right?
I would be happy just to hear about eggs for the next. You can keep
I'd
going.
cede my time to the congressman.
No. The question is, you said absolutely all of the things that we want to hear, that you focused on doing the right thing before telling the world that this is right for you, right? Because what we do matters to you. What is hard, and the term you said, scale. At scale, most of the brands fall apart. Really, that's where trouble begins. Unless you've truly convinced the entire supply chain and the partners that it is in your best interest to continue doing what you do. How do you do that?
Is that a hint or do I go?
Well, the gentlemen are asking you to speak.
Okay. So I love this because this actually is something we did in marketing that pulled back through supply chain. So in trying to figure out how to tell consumers about this in the hopefully 2 seconds of mind space we get, we came up with this campaign many years ago now called Bullshit Free. And it was a little bit of a rub on cage-free eggs. But what it turned out to be was such an honest articulation of who we are that it worked all the way back into language we use in our culture. And so it became a rally cry, and it became language that we can use to call out the bullshit. Because we really don't have a brand if bullshit is hiding anywhere. And so I work at a place where a junior person in the org can say to our CEO, what you said kind of sounds like bullshit. Can we talk about it? And the answer is, yes, sit down, let's figure it out. It either is and we'll fix it, or you didn't have all the context and let's figure that out. And so we actually put it as part of our culture, our language.
Love it.
So that it stays.
Excellent. Love it. We're going to come back to you for some other things as well. Andy, let's go to you. So I thought we all had come to a realization was soda was just fundamentally bad for us. And we tried hard to convince our kids and keep them away from soda. And now Poppi has figured out a way to make soda cool again for all the young generations, right? How did you do that?
Well, I mean, obviously there's a lot of other folks, so not just I, but we. I think I'll kind of have an interactive portion here for a second. How many of you guys have kids? Keep your hands up. How many of you have told them at some point in time soda is bad? Right? Now, keeping your hands up, how many of you then gave them soda at every birthday party, pizza party, vacation, movie theater, every one of the core, you can put your hands down, but thank you. Thanks for humoring me. We gave our children, I'm a father as well, we give our kids soda at every one of the happiest moments of their childhood. Every single one, right? It was like, it's bad for you, but here, when we're happy, you can have it, right? Which is brilliant, because now there's a tipping point by which those children are making purchase decisions, and they're coming into a moment where they're pre-programmed. I refer to them as healthy heirs. They're pre-programmed with soda's bad for you and I need to have better soda, but they're programmed that the category happens at my happiest, most elevated moments. And what we've done is culturally associated ourselves to those moments and allowed the product to speak for itself. And so while I know that sounds a bit marketing-y and simple, and it's definitely not, but the reality is, like, the market was very ripe for this disruption to come along in the marketplace.
Okay, so if I got it right, you have a product that you actually don't feel guilty consuming.
Yeah, I think that's true. I mean, like, let's think about the usage case for soda, right? Soda is ubiquitous across so many different need states, so many different occasions. It's the number one drink at a movie. It's the number one drink. People drink more soda at the Super Bowl than any other beverage out there. It's a $40 billion space. 75% of the U.S. consumes soda every year, right? This drink serves needs from meal accompaniment to refreshment to energy. It is a very broad-reaching category. And so when people can unlock that and have soda, and as we say, freedom to love soda again, like, it really opened up the floodgates because people were searching for that. And I would venture to say, from this panel, that all of us serve on a product that was ripe for core category disruption, right? There was a fundamental product, and our founders, or those that may have come before us, found that disruption.
Exactly.
And then figured out a way to create an opening to bring a lot of people into it.
Perfect. That's right. Thank you for saying that, because that is the underlying sort of movement, like almost tectonic, right? It was sort of COVID that pushed us into all these new behaviors, made us recognize that we needed to start taking care of ourselves, and doing better for us and so forth. And that naturally leads me to Paulie. So here we go. So Paulie, there is a morning ritual almost that you have convinced millions of people to go through. You've put together this green concoction of nutrients that's supposed to be perfect for the whole body care.
Love it. Keep
right?
going.
Okay.
Keep going.
All right.
Lovely.
So here we go. This idea of nutritional supplements, right, is out there and has been around for a while. There's tons of powders and stuff that's out there, right? And yet, there seems to be an amazing following that just keeps using it for months and years. And I have two questions for you. One is, how do you get somebody to try AG1, first of all? And then second, even harder, I would assume, how do you get them to really keep doing it for like weeks, months, years, right? There's like a commitment of some sort, right? Because the wellness fads come and go, but you guys stay. How is that possible?
Yeah, so a ton of amazing questions you've asked already, the panel. So let me try and cover it from our point of view. I think like we've said, there's always a gap in the market or a reason you create a product that you go for. Supplements, to your point, it's well-trodden territory, right? But, I think what our founder found was he was sick and he needed something that, through all of this, he was taking millions of pills a day, and was there one way he could help himself? And he found a way, and it was delicious. But also, I think what we uncovered in that was it's hard to take control of your own health. And I think that's the gap in the market, right? In this country, costs a lot of money to get sick, right? And you can't really afford to get sick. So what if you could take control of that and put something in your body every day that gave you that control? And I think that's kind of why it took off in that regard. How do you get people to take it every day? And you know, what's fascinating about us is like, we're not Red Bull, right? You don't have it and feel instantly like I can go do something. This is like, you need to take it day in, day out, to feel great and enjoy the benefits. And what I would say to that is, like, you can't become a commodity. Like, the minute people see you as a powder or a drink, or, you know, Yeti as a cup, or Uber as a taxi, you are dead. It's over, right? And what you have to do is provide a higher reasoning. You could call it a lifestyle, but where the consumer really feels like, hey, this represents me. This is who I am. This is what I believe in. And that's why I'm going to pay a premium. That's why I'm going to stick with the premium end of the product SKU.
Yes, of course.
And keep going back to it because it represents me. It's who I am. I think, see the old Yeti crew here. I love, you know, you pull out a igloo cooler at a campsite, you're being judged. That says something about you, right? You pull out a Yeti, does the same thing. People are like, all right, big guy, that's cool. And that's where you want to be, right? I think someone taking a lesser green in the morning or a fringe type product, I don't know about that. Someone taking AG1 every morning is like, all right, okay, you're committed to this. This is who I am, and I feel good about that. So that's what you got to own, I think, is the other one. The other question you had, because I'll just talk and then I can shut up.
No, I think I think
is scale.
You've addressed addressed the core behavior, which is once you believe in it, and it becomes part of you. Now it doesn't take that much effort to help them continue, right?
The other thing, like, don't be a commodity. So for us, we really own the mornings, right? Like, it's the daily health drink. You start your day with it. So what does that mean? Own the morning is a great thing to own. It's an optimistic time of the day.
Yes.
For me, anyone who has kids knows you have about 30 seconds where it's, you can do something for yourself before you hear the thunder coming from upstairs. And, you know, we always say, like, put your oxygen mask on first. Have that moment, whether it's a coffee or it's your AG1, right, to kind of, like, have your moment and embrace the day. Hey, own that, right? Own that. Don't own a powder that you should put in water and mix and drink and 75 nutrients. So that is the power of brand. That is the power of great marketing. Owning something higher than the product is always where you should sit.
Love that. Beautiful. Thank you. So, as you can imagine, there is a lot to unpack here. If you feel like we're not getting deep enough or what have you, you got plenty of time. These guys are going to be around. I'm just touching the surface here. So I have one other question that I've noticed that the audience is always interested in. You guys are doing cool stuff. You're taking all these, risks of one sort or the other. As we all know, behind every challenger brand, there is an amazing marketing leader who has learned to break the rules, change whatever needs to happen, risks you take against all odds, skepticism, doubts inside your company, outside your company, all of this, right? What is it that you have to have that allows you to go through all of that, right? And build these types of really high quality, lovable brands, right? Kathryn, I'm going to start with you.
Well, I have been doing this marketing thing for about 30 years almost. It always makes me feel really old when I say
30 years. Did you hear that?
Years.
Okay.
I know I'm not 20. I look that way. But but I think early on, I started, my first job at Gap Inc. was college marketing. By the time I got there, my job was Baby Gap strategy. And then I was in Windows, and I was a part of the in-store team. Then I sat in the creative team, and I was in, I think, every part of the marketing department within 3 years to kind of sample Some were not my choice, which when you're early on, you kind of go, okay, that sounds great. I'll take it. I'll take it. I'll take it. And I think I loved it all so much. I wanted to try and sample. And over the years, started to really hone in on my craft, started to understand what I really loved. Sometimes what you're good at isn't always what you love. I remember having conversations with my manager and saying, well, you're really good at this. I'm like, yeah, but I really love that. I remember sitting with my VP marketing back in early days, Levi's. I'd put 17 years in over the decades there. And we're having a development conversation. I think I was over women's red tab print back in the olden days. We didn't have social. It was like, that was my one thing. I'm going to really understand how to do this. And I said to her, I want to be a TV producer. And she's like, that's great. We don't have that job here. And I was like, okay, but that's what I want to do. So like, let's go to the TV team. And I think I took every assignment and I tried things and I sampled things. And as I started to really understand what I loved and what I was good at, because those two have to be one together. I took the projects that weren't sexy. And I think you often wait for the thing that's the sexy thing, especially as a marketer. I want to touch the sexy brand. I want to be on the big thing. I want to create that big Super Bowl spot. And the growth comes from those projects that no one else wants.
This is absolutely important underlining, guys. It's when you are in the backstage somewhere doing whatever that people aren't necessarily going to notice you. But what are the advantages of doing that?
No one's watching.
There you go.
You can try things. You can experiment. You can fail. You can turn things inside out. You can question. And when you're working with folks, and I've got some of my old teammates here in front row, you come together as a team. You collaborate in different ways. You break things. You put it back together. You learn. That was awesome. That was great. And even all the fancy things I've worked on in my career, my highlight were the days that I was working on the least sexy brands. And I grew the most. I took the assignment. I checked the box, says willing to relocate. Okay, fuck yeah, let's go. Sorry. And I went and I sat in Asia and I took my family and we just tried things. And over the years, I honed into my craft and I learned what I'm really good at is building brands. What I'm really good at is understanding complex global markets. I'm really good at building culture and I'm really good at building teams. So when I was kind of contemplating the departure from Levi's, which was hard, I will forever be a 501 girl. I will wear my checker to the day I die. But it was 17 years. I'm like, okay, let's go. And I had done Converse in between, but I spent my career at big global brands, Gap, Converse, Levi's. Sure, I'm literally wearing my CV right now. And so when the next move came, my assumption was being that I got to keep going higher. I needed bigger, higher title, bigger brand, more scale. And that was that's what I got to go. And so I was I was charged to go find that thing. And then Joe called me, the founder, and I was like, Vuori, how do you say it? And really understood who he was as a human, the journey that they were going on, the opportunity to build a brand kind of from scratch, not having to undo anything, working at a legacy brand, someone before you made some really crazy decisions that you have to undo, and to be in a place where it was all new. Opening China for the first time. You get to do these things from scratch. And working with partners at a stage of growth that was so exciting. And the opportunity to build a team and the opportunity to find a brand that was aligned with my core values.
Okay.
And I told Joe, this is an everything, everywhere, all at once place. Everything that I've done over the years has led me here, both professionally to be part of this journey and personally that aligns with my values, because the older you get, that actually becomes more important than the sexy thing that you're making. And it was a marketer's dream. And I was like, all right, giddy up, let's go.
Yeah, the other thing I would just say to anyone in marketing is, I think the intro said it well, right? What's our lifespan as the CMO? It's 2 years. So who cares, right? What are you going to do? Fucking fire me? Great. If that's the worst thing that you can do to me because you think I'm taking the brand somewhere, it's dangerous. I don't know about that. Well, then I don't want to be there anyway, right? And that's what you have to embrace your marketing department with that vigor, right? Because if they don't want your good idea, if they don't want to move the brand, if they're not ready for it, get out of there. You're never going to change them. Go somewhere that's going to enjoy you, right? I got lucky Uber's house was on fire, right? Hey, man, how about it? Same thing, and I think it goes back to your scale question. When do brands prove themselves like, hey, spending in a brand, how do you convince and con people to do that? And it's not about that. But there are two ways, right? One, the brand's really strong. You're doing great. Maybe I don't need to spend in a brand anymore, right? Like, things are good. Okay, cool. Call me in 18 months when you're in huge trouble, all right? Back to scale, I think there are lots of brands that can growth hack and scale themselves, find an interesting category that they can jump on the back of and create a lookalike product, get to 100 mil, and then they're dead, right? Because they don't have a brand. And identify those brands. And I think when you identify those brands, you know, okay, they're going to be hungry for good ideas, for people who want to invest in brand. And if that's what you do, if that's what you love, get on board. If you're at a place that's uneasy on that, please, God, leave. We don't need mediocre marketers. We got plenty of them, all right? Everyone in this room wants to not be that. So don't be that, would be mine.
Thank you. Yeah. That's fantastic. I love it.
Yeah. No, I echo all of those sentiments. In fact, I was on a panel once with a bunch of traditional CPG marketers, and they're like, "How do we do this? How do we do this?" And my response was, "You should quit." I was like, because they're not going to change, and 100% agree with that sentiment. And I think, you know, Kathryn and Paulie are probably underscoring, like, you got to want to hustle too, and you got to want to work. Back to the sentiment around like taking all those behind the scenes or jobs that you know people didn't want, or setting up new platforms and business models. Whether that was Asia, I did Hispanic marketing at one point in time for the first time in a large enterprise. Like, take those roles and, you know, but they're hard because you don't get the resource that you need. And then when you come into these environments, you're like, I have nothing. And I've got to get past the widget selling phase and into brand building with nothing. And I think that takes a lot of work to get that as well. So these are not like, I don't know if your guys' calendars look like mine, but it's not an easy task.
I do have to say, yes, and having been at big brands that are established and moving into a challenger brand like this, you got to be ready to hustle. Yeah. It is a different kind of non-stopness that takes a character to push.
Yeah, Kathryn, please. Yeah.
My personal experience, very much like this. I grew up in big CPG, so grateful for it. Awesome friends, learned so much. But the feedback I was being given was that I was scrappy, and this was not meant as a compliment. And so I really said, well, like, shit, maybe I could find a place where that's a good thing. And that's what I found. And, you know, I just took on a new role, and our CEO literally said, yeah, she's really scrappy, so she's perfect for this. And I was like, yeah, like, it was such a full circle moment of go where you want to be, and find a place where what you do is going to be embraced and welcome, and work your ass off.
Understood. Okay, so now you know two things. One is how these people really made it and made these brands with unique propositions really, truly successful. Not only that, they're scaling it too. So this is not some fake growth, right? To his point. So that's one. Two, you also know them as a personality. How did they really grind through the early years to build themselves up to be ready to be in these roles, right? Okay, we're open for questions.
Hey, Jeff Thompson with GoodRx. I think the moderator said Vuori is like a cult following. I'm a card-carrying member. My entire suitcase, literally, for this trip is Vuori. My question for you, Kathryn, the brand is kind of built on like athletic wear, right? But I associate it with comfortable business wear. How do you kind of pivot from, hey, this is what we were built on, to this is what people are using us for, and kind of tweak the messaging that way?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. And as I talked about, we started with the core short. Thank you for buying that, Andy. And found that it was their comfort, fit, and style are three very important things. No matter where you are, I learned that in apparel. The comfort factor that we were able to kind of hit on early days, that is like the red thread that we carry all the way through. All the features and benefits carry all the way through. So now it's understanding to the psychology of the consumer. Where do you need to go? How do we meet you with a product that does that? And how do we make sure that you are totally, we call it built to move style for life. So no matter where you go, you're set. So that same design philosophy starts with the fabric first, which is actually very unique in apparel. Usually you start with like a line, an assortment, you grab your fabric, you put it in. Our design team actually does it the opposite way. We start with the way it feels, and then we build a product that makes sense for that fabric, knowing where we need the consumer to go. So we obsess that. And you got a lot of new stuff coming at you in the next couple seasons. So we'll just make sure I got your number. I'll send you a haul.
Yeah. The other thing, I'd like focus on your core. If the core is athletic, then the brand, you can't be everything to everyone. Right? So really go hard on the core and show up for them and show they will love you. But all the other consumers in the world aren't dumb, right? They want in, right? And they'll wear it for business wear and it's comfy and it's great. But they've been drawn in by the core audience and the brand being very focused on it, right? And that's the beautiful model. Stay really focused on core. Everyone comes in. The minute you try and go, hey, this is great for everybody, is the minute everyone's like, oh, maybe it's not for me.
You cannot be all things to all people, and your dollars can't reach every person in the world. That's right. You got to make it tight, and you got to make it clear, and you have to understand the halo effect that has on the other segments, and you'll get it all.
Hi, so I'm Kim Pringle. I am leading the innovation arm for QVC Group. So, Paulie, I love what you said about owning the morning, and obviously you previously worked at Uber. I'm wondering about how do you think about brand when you think about an endemic or a legacy company that is trying to reinvent and bringing that new twist and making it more relevant when it may have become a commodity?
Yeah, I think it goes back, like, great question. It's so tough. Reinvent a brand, or, you know, again, it's like find something to butt up against is always, I love tension. I want tension. It's why I always try and find those brands. Legacy brands, they have run out of steam a lot of the time, right? You know, it's like cars. It's like I can't tell the difference in a car ad anymore. And I don't know why they sponsor the NFL pregame show, because it's like, it's not like I don't know who Toyota is, right? You know? But you gotta make me feel something and understand what you're about, right? And I think so many brands just get stuck in the middle. I always say, like, be the best, be the worst, but never be the middle. And I think as brands grow and scale, they just push themselves into the middle and forget about what made them really influential. So that's what you got to do. You got to get out of the middle, find the edge, right? Find something to rub up against. With Uber, it was, we're taking on taxis and governments, right? And it wasn't about we're a better taxi. It was about we're going to empower people to earn their own way out of this, right? Wow. Now, there's no reason another transportation industry couldn't have owned that, right? They just weren't comfortable doing it. And that's the crux of it. It's very uncomfortable moving a big legacy brand anywhere because it's like, why? It's risky, you know? So find the edge, find the tension, drag them with you. I guarantee you're going to get benefits too. Like, you're going to see it, because I love boring brands, because you do this much good work and people think you're like, you know, advertising Jesus, you know, it's like, and that's easy. I'm always like, man, the worst job in the world must be like CMO and Nike. I'm like, everything they do is great. All I can do is make that worse, you know, like, give me a stodgy old brand, we can do something fun there, and everyone will think, wow, they are really innovating. So embrace it, find the edge, push them.
Thank you, Paulie. We are actually running out of time, unfortunately. I would have loved your question, but they are here. You can talk to them, right?
Okay.
You've been such an amazing and generous audience. Thank you so much. Thank you for the panelists. You have been truly amazing. Thank you. Really appreciate it.